All right, welcome to today's podcast. I'm your host, Scott Engler, published author and thought leader on contemporary job search strategies and optimizing your LinkedIn, where over 95% of recruiters are there looking for you. So before I get into this podcast, I do want to give a few disclosures. The first being is that things that I'm going to discuss on this podcast are not illegal. I'm not telling you to rob a bank to get the job that you want. Definitely not. Not telling you to blackmail anybody. So that's definitely not what this is about. This is about my research of seeing what the 2 percentile are willing to do that the 98 percentile have not been willing to do. And the reason I know that is because that's what I've done ever since I started on my mission to help job seekers ages. And the one distinction was that they really were willing to do unconventional things that weren't illegal, that 98% of other people weren't. The second one that I'm going to share is for as many people as are interested in experiencing or needing help with their job search and using LinkedIn. I also recognize the reality of life, and that it looked like my podcast was stalled, but it looks like it's going now. Is that for every 100 people that are probably going to listen to this podcast, I'd say only 5 to 10 are going to listen to it all the way through, because people aren't going to align with it, and that's okay. And you'll see what I mean when I start talking. But just did want to let you know that this is kind of like what was I thinking earlier? It's like the hell and brimstone kind of podcast in a way. So take what you like and leave the rest. And I'm just giving you that warning up front. So if this isn't aligning with you and it's not resonating with you, then that's totally fine. I hope that you still continue to listen to my other podcasts because they're a little bit different. And again, at least from my content. Today what I'm talking about is how to get in the 2% elite. That's really who this message is geared for. So that's who should be listening. Is if you want to be in that 2% elite for your next job, then you should be listening. If you don't, then there's really no reason to listen. So I guess I'll just say that to start off. If you're okay with mediocre results in your job search, if you're okay with just a mediocre life and a mediocre job that's pretty good, and you're kind of one of those people that is just work's not meant to be exciting, work's not meant to be meaningful, I'm not really capable of getting those great jobs like anybody, other people might have, that's just a pipe dream and it doesn't really come true, they just got lucky, then this is not the podcast for you. But if you are the kind of person that wants the best possible results, believes that you can have those elite jobs that other people that are spectating think is just lucky, then you should stay and listen. Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk about is building your own brand. And as the popular post on this topic mentioned a few weeks ago, was that when you are at a level that you've and so the challenge is you haven't had to sell yourself, at least not the way that you're going to learn you need to if you're on, starting to look for work, especially on LinkedIn. You haven't had to sell yourself, really, really sell yourself. It's like, I like sports analogies. It's like if Kobe Bryant was a free agent when he was playing the NBA, he doesn't really have to sell himself that much. People know who he is. He might have to, he might have to throw out a few reminders to people, but he's going to get what he wants, and he's going to get paid a lot of money to do it, right? But if Kobe Bryant was in a remote jungle somewhere where, let's just say, nobody knew him, then he's going to have to start from scratch. And the reality is, for most of you guys, you are in a huge sea internationally of over 500 million people on LinkedIn that people don't know you. And so what I tell the clients that I work with, again, I work primarily with baby boomers who are executives, VPs, C-level, senior level directors, is that the challenge is that everybody is an all-star. Everybody that has gotten to your level is an all-star. You guys are all great. And the challenge then becomes, how do you differentiate yourself from the fierce competition? Because anybody also knows that when you get to those level of roles, that the availability is less, right? So you're not only dealing with people that are a certain caliber of professional, you're also going for a more limited amount of roles. And so it's really important that people understand and accept this, right? Because if you don't, you're just going to be in a perpetual state of frustration. And when I talk to executives all the time and they're like, I've been looking for 2 months for a job on my own and I haven't gotten, any really good leads, well, that's not a surprise to me, because the industry average for executives is 6 to 12 months. And, that's so when 2 months rolls around and you're not really seeing much traction, well, it's because that's really how it is for most people. And this message is geared towards not doing what most people do, so you're not in that 6 to 12 month average. That's really who this message is for. So if you want to attract elite opportunities, right, those aren't usually going to be the opportunities that are publicly announced, right? There's a 0.4% of return for job search boards. Somebody specifically, or they have somebody in mind that's the best fit for this role, and they find them through recruiters, or you have an in, right? It really is true that it's it is who you know, not always what you know, right? And so my point being is that, how do you stand out? So even if your friend recommends to the CEO or someone that might not know you, but your friend could vouch for you, when they look at your LinkedIn and they look at your branding, they're like, oh yeah, we see it. We want to bring this guy in for an interview, and you get your foot in the door. And then your reputation has already preceded you, right? That's how you want to get the ball rolling. You've already, and this is from me doing this for years, is like when I talk to other job seekers or other people that are way, more, they've been doing this a lot longer than me, like they're like the Hall of Famers, right? And I'm like maybe an all-star or whatever you want to call me right now. And they respect me automatically because of what I've accomplished in my field, but also because I've branded myself, so I'm communicating that clearly. And so automatically, they're not dodging my messages. In fact, they're taking calls with me and they're like, wow, Scott, that's amazing what you've done. How'd you get into this field? So I'm sharing this, again, not to brag, but to just let you know what's happened in my own life and what I provide for job seekers too. And what I want to tell you guys is that if you want to get the hidden job market, right, if you want to attract those elite opportunities, you have to be willing to do what other job seekers won't. And first and foremost, you need to invest in resources to get there. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe it's an American thing. I think that the way that we were raised, honestly, that we don't think that we need help in our job search because we've been pretty privileged in that way. Whereas a lot of times people in other countries actually have a better understanding that they need to invest in, a professional to help them with their LinkedIn profile. professional to help them with interviewing. There's a better understanding in European countries for some reason than the U.S. That's just my own guess from the way I was raised and just what I experienced. Is we've kind of been a lot more privileged, but things have changed, as any of you listening knows. And just look at your own experience to see how things have changed. And so you have to invest in a specialist. It's like if you were, let me give you a good example. If you were living back in the days of gold mining and somebody was saying, hey, there's gold out in San Francisco, and then other people caught wind of it, and there's 100,000 people all of a sudden that you know of that are going to San Francisco to try to strike rich and get gold. Would you prefer to do what most people do, which is, oh, cool, we're going to go too and, hope for the best? Or would you be the guy that saw someone that comes up to you and is like, hey, guess what? I already got gold from San Francisco. And I got this person gold, and I got this person gold, I got this person gold. And they're like, yep, he did. And then he's like, so I'll help you. I will show you where the gold is. The only condition is, you got to pay me up front, but you have my word, and these people did the same thing you did, that I'm going to take you there. And I made the same deal with them, and they're here to tell you that I kept my word. So, do you want it or not? And most people are going to say, oh, I don't know, let me try it on my own. Let me, go with my friends. Let me do what's comfortable. Whereas the 2 percentile are like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. This guy's already gotten gold. Why am I going to go try to reinvent the wheel and go, compete with all these other people that are just searching aimlessly for gold somewhere where they've never been before, when this person has already navigated the trail to get there? He probably already knows shortcuts to get there in the first place, and then he knows the areas that are going to strike gold. It's the same thing in this case. And just to share with you, I've had my business full-time for 3 years. I've had over 40 professional recommendations in that time, and I'm not saying that to brag. Most of them are displayed publicly on LinkedIn. Some of them I've gotten that are video recommendations. Other ones are written on other platforms. But I'm saying that because these theories are tested and proven. And I didn't have LinkedIn hire to pay me as one of 35 people in the world to give feedback on job seekers' branding and profiles, because I wasn't showing exceptional insights into this specialized area. And again, I'm not saying this to brag at all. I'm just saying that I know what I'm doing in this area because I've been doing it for so long. I've learned from the best. I get inside information from other LinkedIn experts, people that work for LinkedIn. So I've accumulated over the years tons of strategies to where I know where the gold's going to be. I know how to get you there. And other people could vouch that I know how to get that, I got them there. And that's the bottom line. And so it's really that simple. That's the easiest way, is find someone else that's already done it. If you want to get to Japan and you're going to go on a sailboat or something like that, what's the easiest way to get there with the least calamity? Find someone that sails to Japan every single week of the year and has been doing it for years. That's like me with LinkedIn. Find someone that does it and then have them take you on the voyage. That's the easiest, softest way. And that's what's going to get you the elite job the quickest. That's what's going to help you stand out is, working with someone that specializes in that area and being willing to invest, and I get it, right? It's like we don't want to spend money on certain things, and sometimes we don't think we should, or it's like, hey, I want to just try it on my own. Great. But what's it costing you to not do it? After everything I'm sharing, after your experiences up until now, what is it costing you to not do it? Right? And so I just, that's why I know only 5 to 10 people are still listening to this, because if you want excellent results, you got to be willing to do what other people won't. And other people, they want to hit their head against the wall. And it's look, I do the same thing in other areas, so there's no judgment here, but they want to hit their head against the wall until, their butt's on fire, and then they're like, okay, now I'm willing to take expert advice, when it's like, hey, you could have done this 6 months ago, saved yourself a ton of time, stress, and money, been earning, something comparable or more by now. It's a job that you really wanted that met your needs at this stage in your career. So that's the difference. The first thing is to hire, an expert to get you there. And really the other things are to be willing to do what other people won't. Be willing to do a PowerPoint. As someone I interviewed, he put on a whole PowerPoint at his interview. I don't know if it was his second or third interview, but of course he requested permission. He said, hey, I put together a PowerPoint. I'm going to show your company how I'm going to, triple your profits over the next 5 years if you hire me as the regional sales director. No joke. He said, this is what I've put together this. I've already, calculated how I'm going to do this, after studying the company. And they're like, yes, please. Who does that, right? In the 2 percentile. That's who does stuff like that. And so if you want to, attract and get jobs, land the jobs too, is you got to be willing to do what other people won't, right? And so those are the things. Is the first one, hire an expert to help you get your foot in the door, right? That's my area of specialization. I also have interviewed dozens of the top recruiting and hiring managers in the field, so I understand a lot of the feedback that they can't give you for legal reasons. So I do job interview coaching as well with some of my packages. But the main thing is hire an expert to get you there, right? To get you there and help you shine and get you there without being as damaged as the people that are trying to go to San Francisco with 100,000 other people. Keep in mind, there's over 500 million people on LinkedIn right now. So those are the things that the 2 percentile they do. And then they're willing to do things that other people won't. They're willing to think outside the box. They're willing to show how they could contribute. And they are people of action and not just of words, And so, I had dozens of people message me just in this last week alone, just from a few podcasts. And I do my best to respond to most people, especially when they do put serious inquiry in there. And half of them run away as soon as they say, hey, Scott, I really, enjoyed this and I want your help, and I'm like, great, tell me a little bit more. And then it's like they vanish, right? So people talk, but are you the person of action? Are you willing to actually, let your actions speak so loud that people can't actually hear what you're saying because you're just speaking with your actions? That's the message for you today. So if you really resonated with this message, if you're like, what, Scott, you're right, I'm ready, this is what I want, you want this within the next 30 days, please send me an email on LinkedIn with the headline Serious Inquiry. And I want to be clear, because I've been getting a lot of messages recently. When you message me with Serious Inquiry, that means that you want to work with me. I had at least maybe a third of the people say Serious Inquiry, and then they're like, I really like your podcast. And that was all they wanted to tell me. No, that's really not a serious inquiry. That's just sharing a compliment, which I greatly appreciate, but it's very confusing and it's really not direct. I don't think they're trying to be dishonest, but that doesn't make any sense. That's not a serious inquiry. That's just, paying me a compliment. Serious inquiry is you want what I have to offer and you want to get in the next 30 days. So again, if you are some type of executive, VP, C-level, senior level, baby boomer job seeker, you want to be in that 2 percentile, send me an email with Serious Inquiry and we'll talk about next steps getting started. Otherwise, best of luck in your job search. And remember, the path to experiencing different results begins with asking different questions and taking different actions one step at a time. Don't forget to subscribe so you could get, updated on more of my podcasts. Again, I did let you know this one was going to be a little bit more direct. And I'm going to put, the link to send me a message in the information box on YouTube as well. So take care, guys. Thanks.